You're watching Through the Looking Glass with Dr. Jenny Klein.
Hi, I'm Dr. Jenny Klein, and I've missed you, so I'm back with a new show for us all. It's about our feelings, fears, and fantasies, our pain and our pleasure, our problems and our solutions. It's a time for us to get together, talk things over, think things over, and find out that we are not alone. Perhaps then we can make this world and our lives just a little bit better. Let me ask you, did you ever have somebody follow you around and pick up every little thing after you and feel really anxious about it? Let's take another look at just that issue. Hi, Beatrice, how are you?
Dr. Klein, right now I am so angry, I don't even know what to do.
Scream.
I think if I start screaming, I'll never stop. The reason why I'm here is because I have been so upset about a coworker, and I have been talking to my best friend about it, and I guess I have been talking to her a lot about it, and she said, I can't help you anymore. I think you need to go talk to someone else about it. I think maybe you need to see Dr. Klein. So here I am.
Okay. So what is it?
Here's the story. I work in a hospital, and I have a very small office that I share with another coworker. And I've been working with her for a year. Now, this coworker is a nice person, I think. I think.
But?
Right now, I'm not thinking she's such a nice person.
Why?
I'm thinking she's a crazy person. Well, here's the story. We started out just fine, and we have very, very limited space. So she started with, our desks are not really together, but we're on the wall together, and it's separated a little bit, but I have my space and she has her space. I have my phone, she has her phone. Yeah, so, do you think you could keep your book over a little further? She would say to me. Then I would come back and come into the office, and I would see that I had a little vase with flowers in it. She moved it to the other side. And then this has been going on ad nauseum. I asked her, please, could you just leave my things alone? She said, but they don't belong that way. If you kept your pencils here and if you did this, then you would be fine. And in the beginning, I really tried. I tried so hard. I thought, okay, well, everyone has their own way they do things. So, okay, I'll, be careful where I hang my coat, and I'll, be careful, what I do. And
Never good enough, is it?
Never good enough? I mean, it's like I don't even exist in that room.
Oh, you do, as a victim of her compulsion to have everything in its place and nothing in her space. You exist as her victim, and she's going to criticize you or just say, do this, do that, rather than dump on herself.
Well, I'll tell you, it started off fine, but then I started questioning everything that I did. Should
Excuse
I put
me,
this
who
here?
was doing the questioning?
I was worried. I'm afraid.
Who was
when
doing the questioning?
I was questioning myself.
Oh, wait, that's two of you. Who's the I that was looking at you, the human? Is that I am questioning me, which means somebody is questioning you.
Yeah.
That's maybe the someone you should have been when you were a little kid. Was mother very critical too? Keep your room neat.
Yes.
Put
Yes,
your
she
socks
wanted-
away.
Yes.
They don't belong here.
Yes.
And when you were a little kid, did you have a right to be angry about that? Or did you think you failed?
I wasn't angry about it.
You were?
I liked keeping my things together, and
Was
I
it ever
thought-
good enough for mother?
I think it was.
Oh,
I
good.
think it was, and it was good enough for me. I always thought that I was very organized, and I was a very neat person. I wasn't compulsive, but I was. You know what? One day I was actually unwrapping a piece of hard candy.
When you're a little kid, yeah.
No, when I was at work.
Oh, yes.
But it's funny you should say that.
Oh.
Because I'm unwrapping the piece of candy, and I put the candy in my mouth, and I go to take the paper, and she sticks out her hand like this, like I used to do with the kids. You know, I couldn't believe it. I said,
You used to
"What?"
do that with your
With
kids?
my own kids.
Did your
Give it to
mother
Mommy.
do that? Did your mother do that with you? Is
I
that
don't
where you
really
learned it?
remember
You
that.
don't remember? But
But
you,
I didn't want them to throw it on the floor, you know, on the ground. So I would stick out my hand and said, "Give Mom the paper," and I
do you
would.
ever remember? Think back. Do you ever remember your mother teaching you that? Doing that with you?
I don't remember her sticking out her hand, but I remember her teaching us that
The wrappers go in the
yeah, and you don't throw things. And you know, even to this day, when I'm driving down the road and I see someone throw something out the car window, or I'm horrified.
Well, wouldn't you have been horrified at yourself if you had done that instead of putting the wrappers away? Wouldn't you be tough on yourself?
Oh, well, I couldn't do that.
So when this woman puts out her hand for your candy wrapper, you know what happens in the mind?
What?
Your mind, by the way, in case no one ever told you, is 90% unconscious. Everything you've ever seen, tasted, heard, said, wanted, wished is in your 90% of your brain, which is unconscious. Did you know that?
No.
And 10% of your brain is conscious. And when someone puts their hand out right now, here today, to take your candy wrapper, your mind does a search at 400 million synapses a second, which is the gap between the wires of your brain. And it searches for that picture all over your brain, and it comes up with candy wrappers, throw it out, da da da. And if you don't, that's bad. And if people throw things out of a car, that's bad. So, you know, so what happens is that it brings up the anxiety when someone is doing that to you, and maybe you don't remember consciously that your mother put the hand out. Maybe that's where you got it for, and do it to your kids.
Yeah, but you know.
There's nothing wrong with it, except that sometimes if you forget it one time, that imaginary self you should be is going to be angry at you for making a mistake.
But I don't know about that, because I always, I mean, that's just how I live. I don't throw things on the ground. I don't throw things at work. I don't throw candy wrappers
Right, but
around.
no matter what
So
you do,
when
this
she-
coworker doesn't care.
But when she sticks out her hand, it's insulting. It's degrading.
Who is it insulting?
It's insulting me. I know what to do.
Just a minute. Do you do it 100% of the time your entire life? Or did you miss one time
I don't remember
missing it?
throwing things on the floor.
But you should do it every time, right?
Yeah.
And when she goes like that, your head is going to do a search and say, I hope I don't, I'm very, very responsible. I hope I never throw anything out of a car. I hope I don't forget to put the candy wrapper in the right place. In other words, you can get down on yourself in a way that just doesn't live up to 100% imaginary
But Dr.
stuff.
Fine, I don't feel down on myself. I feel down on her.
Well, it's
It's
less,
like, why
it's less
would you
painful.
even do this? I know the plan. I know the rules. Don't bother me with this.
Well, she's doing it to the wrong person, because instead of doing it to herself and going like that, oh, nothing should ever be out of place, she's just picking up the gun out of the holster and shooting you in a very nice way. In other words, she has a 100% thing that is looking for what's out of place, and you're saying, I'm very neat. What is wrong with this woman?
Right.
She's projecting her 100% expectation, her imaginary perfect self, that she should never ever see anything out, and she's looking for anything that's out of the way and shooting you.
Well,
Do you,
all
do you
I
get
know-
this?
I
Like
don't
if
know.
you know that you're very neat. Are you 100% perfect?
No, because I'm more relaxed and I'm not as compulsive and as she makes me nervous. And
How
that's the
can she
thing.
do that?
I am so anxious when I go to work because of this woman.
Because she's going to find out where you forgot to do something.
She'll say, "Oh, you have a piece of something," or "Oh, what do you have on you?" Or "Oh, there's a string hanging," or "Oh, do you know?"
What do you care?
What do I don't. I feel like I'm a baby bird that's being picked at.
Well, probably you got to be very neat and organized because your mother kept reminding you, like when you were a baby bird. And if you forgot, she'll say, "Look, pick it up."
You know what happened? One day I'm sitting there.
When?
And
When you're a kid?
no, but when I was at work, and I'm sitting there and I'm talking to this woman, and she's staring down, and I'm thinking, what is she staring at? She was staring at my ring. And I said, "Is there something wrong?" And she said, "Yes, you have a stone missing in your ring." And I'm thinking, how did she see that? This is what I mean. This is how she's observing me. She is looking that she could see this little teeny chip out of my ring.
If she had a stone missing in her ring, that she that judges her would make her so anxious and self-hating that instead of looking at her own things, she projects the
You know,
the
even I'm
thing that's
talking about-
missing in you. In other words, if I don't know that I have built some perfect self in my mind when I was a kid, and I don't know I have it, and it's dumping on me and making me anxious, I will find things missing or out of place on your desk or on your fingers and dump on you. Because that avoids myself from criticizing myself. I have to find the flaws in other people,
That
so
is
I
so
preserve my
nasty.
perfection.
That is so nasty. She's making me a nervous wreck.
She can't do that without your help.
I'm getting nervous talking about it.
Wait a minute, who is making you nervous? If I told,
Her.
yeah, well, that's the one you're aware of that's putting you down. Are you aware that if you forgot to do something, do you ever get anxious when this woman isn't around? If you dropped something and broke it, do you ever get critical of yourself?
Not too much.
No, but if someone else is criticizing you, you take it very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
Well, she's projecting her own stuff onto you. Perfectionists do that.
And you know what? I look at her desk. She's forgetting everything. She doesn't even write good notes. You know, what is she doing?
She's projecting what she doesn't do over to you, so she doesn't deal with her own issues. It's very hard to understand
That's
this
very
concept.
nasty.
Well, of course it's nasty behavior because you're dumping on someone else instead of asking yourself, where is this coming from? It's coming from herself, and it dumps on her at 400 million synapses a second. She can't even hear it or feel it. And in order not to feel it, she criticizes you.
So when I say something to her, she looks like she wrote the rules and she knows what she's talking
Well,
about.
she's perfect
and I'm
you're
the
not.
idiot.
You're perfect. She's perfect and you're not, and she's going to find everything
She was
that's
just
missing.
helping me, you know, pointing out my little chip out of my ring, and I'm thinking,
Well,
geez, in the scheme of things,
It's less
who cares?
painful to criticize another person or to point it out to them than point it out to yourself that you're not perfect, and love yourself anyway. Do the best you can.
Oh, I come in and she'll say, "Oh, do you like that color on you?" And I say, "Well, I never
No,
thought
the
about it."
good answer is, do you like that color on you? So she's going to project those things. Do I have the perfect color over to you? These are not easy people to live with,
I
but
just want her out of that office.
well,
Because now, I used to think she was okay. Now, when I'm sitting there, I feel so tense. I feel my
how
heart
does she have the
beating.
power to do that unless some part of you expects you to be really organized and you're not aware of it? So perfectly organized. And you don't sound like consciously you think
But
that.
I don't feel like I
No,
need
consciously.
to be perfect.
Yeah, but why is a perfect type person able to make you anxious? You don't consciously feel anxious,
You know what I think
critical
it
of
is?
yourself.
I feel like, as I said before with the mama bird, I feel, and this is going to sound wacky, but I feel like she's picking. I'm getting like holes in me. Like she picks. You know, it's almost like she's attacking me, and I'm getting.
Well, it beats attacking herself, except that it doesn't make her a popular roommate.
No, and she doesn't bother anyone else. She loves to bother me.
You don't know that she doesn't bother any. She probably does this all over the place.
Well, I don't know.
Talk to your colleagues.
Oh, well, I'm
Sure.
the lucky one who sits with her.
If you understand, basically, people build different things in their imagination when they're powerless children in order to please a parent, stay safe, or God knows what. They build different things, and what they build with their imagination is limitless. It's omnipotent. It's because it's imaginary, and there's no limits to the imagination. So I should be able to fly, like a little kid will say, "Look, Mommy, I can fly," because they're imagining powers they don't have. You can imagine perfection you don't have too, so that nobody's ever going to criticize you. The fact of the matter is that people do this for different reasons, and they have different kinds of perfect, omnipotent selves. Some are power, some are pleasing, some are wealth, so, or some are different types of perfection. She has that, and she doesn't want to know about it. You don't seem to know that why it's making you anxious either, because if you didn't have that somewhere in your head, like Mama Bird is picking on me, which mama is that, from what year? And you feel, oh, she's a good mama, I got to do it right. That's where the original anxiety comes from, is what you imagined you should be, so Mama wouldn't be upset sometimes. So everybody's got, that's the basic kind of thing. Everyone's
So,
different. Though.
I'm thinking it's her problem, but it's my problem.
Her problem is the picking, because she's projecting it over to you. Your problem is you're feeling anxious about it. That's your problem. That's why we're sitting here talking.
But how would you sit in a room with someone who does that to you all the time?
I would probably react, knowing myself, which is, clutter queen here. I would probably react with a little bit of annoyance, but then I would say, well, what am I annoyed about? Is it because I'm saying that to myself? That should be really cleaned up. So when I say that to myself, I'll say, you know what? I'll do it one piece at a time. Shut up and stop dumping on me. I talk up to that other self. I learned about that when I was 22, not in grad school. They don't teach it there. So what happens is I know that the only reason that you're anxious is because somebody's living there that's gone down into your unconscious mind. You're not aware of it anymore.
If she said this once, maybe it would be all right. But it's constant.
And it's constantly
Pick,
stimulating
pick,
your
pick,
anxiety. But it has to enter your ear, go through your brain, which does a search, goes back in time, no time in the mind, and brings up an anxiety that you forgot to do something. And you're a good girl. You were very neat, and you were trying to please your mother. But I'm sure there's times that you forgot the candy wrapper. And it's not a federal case.
I don't think I ever did.
Oh, because you'd be too anxious if you did.
No, because I think it's bad to throw things on the
Then
floor.
you're bad. Okay, so if
I mean,
one
they have-
time out of a
they have
million.
signs all over. Don't be a litter bug. It's
Yeah, but
rude to do
how
that.
perfect do you have to be okay with yourself? I don't think I ever did, you just said. Ever.
I mean, maybe I dropped it inadvertently, but I don't think I said, "Oh, throwing it on the floor."
No.
Nobody's here.
But even if you dropped it
it doesn't
inadvertently
matter.
and someone picked it up, you'd feel anxious because you shouldn't. And it's bad to do. We're not aware of that. That's why the only person you see putting you down is her. But if I said to you, if I said to you something that there's no way that you would put yourself down for, like, how come you're not 7 feet tall? How come? You'd think I'm crazy.
Right,
You wouldn't feel anxious, would you?
right.
Why?
I don't care.
Because there's nobody in your head that ever imagined you should be 7 feet tall, and anything less is a terrible failure. You wouldn't get anxious about that.
No.
But somewhere we bury that wish we could be really a good, pleasing, helpful girl and never leave anything out where it shouldn't be. And that self is going to dump on you, which you don't even know it's happening. The only one you see is your roommate there at work. Now I want you to think about that. Because that's the only person to make you anxious is you. People can trigger it. And before you know it, you're in a conflict. You're anxious.
Mm-hmm. And I'm ready to bop her on the head.
Well, you're angry, of course. Why don't you bop the guy inside you on the head and say, hey, don't take it personally. She's got a problem. She's not very nice either.
Yeah, but if she has the problem, why do I have to suffer from her problem?
That's the reason you and I are talking. The only reason you can suffer from that problem is not because I'm calling you 7 feet tall. You wouldn't suffer. But if I say, hey, why do you leave that over there? Did you walk in and leave something over there? You'd go like that, wouldn't you? And you're a very neat person, so you're not aware there's any perfection involved because you're not like that. But you get anxious when one of those people are doing that, roommate's doing that.
Suppose I feel like leaving something.
So what?
Yeah, so what?
Say it to yourself because she
No,
won't
but
hear you.
she's the one who's
Honey,
left
you
that
won't
coffee
change
cup?
her. You're not going to change her. But you're feeling anxious because of the self inside that's going to say, what'd I do wrong? You're not hearing that. You're just mad at her. You don't have to be mad at yourself either because you're not mad because you're not 7 feet tall. Are you?
Mm. So when I go into work tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and she starts with, could you keep your flower vase over on that side?
Do you have a light in your office?
Yeah.
Good. When she says that, look up at the light. You're really looking up. You're not looking at her. You look up at the light for a moment, and you see that perfect shining self you should be dumping on you. And that's what she hit that's dropping anxiety on you for failing.
See,
That's not conscious.
I think she's telling me what to do, and that's what's annoying me.
Okay, who told you what to
Could you
do?
move your vase? Could you move?
Who said
this?
that when
Could
you were young?
move-
Is the mother say that? Could you please take your things upstairs?
Yeah, but
And then you felt guilty because you hadn't done it before she had to say it?
I don't think so.
Who told you what to do? Your father?
I just knew what to do.
When you're 2 years old, you don't know. You're taught.
I don't remember when I was 2.
No. We don't remember, but
But
our
I
mind
knew the right
remembers.
thing to do. I knew what they would want. So somehow I either figured it out
Or I should do.
or they taught me. You know, it didn't take a long time. I knew what was accepted and,
And what if you
wasn't.
did? And what if you forgot to do it? Did you feel bad?
But I didn't forget.
Oh, because you
That's-
didn't want to feel bad. You didn't want to be less than a good
But
girl.
I always remembered what I was supposed to do. See, I'm thinking that's
We're
a
gonna-
good thing.
I want you to. Well,
Is
I
it
think it
remember-
is a good thing unless it gets to 100%. Then it dumps on you. Because if you don't do one thing, all of a sudden you become a total failure. It's a hero-zero game in the mind, in the imaginary mind. That's not who we really are. We're not a hero. We're not a zero. We're somewhere between 1 and 99.
Okay, so what you're saying is she has her thing going on. And I obviously have my
Oh.
thing going on.
Right. And she's triggering something in you from
Okay.
God knows when.
Okay. So,
So when she does that, look up at the light, which means you're looking up at that self inside, and you say, be quiet. And you talk back.
and then what do I do to her?
You don't do anything to her. You won't change her a bit.
Could I tell her to stop bothering me, that she's a
She's
pain in the
compulsive.
neck?
She's not going to.
You know, to leave me alone?
Forget it.
Or else she's not
No,
going
what-
to sit in my office
No,
anymore?
you can't change her.
You know, if she goes away, then I don't have any of this happening.
Look, when we talk next week, I want you to try to think about what I've said.
That's my homework?
Yeah, it's your homework. Look up and say, I'm anxious. She can't make me anxious directly from her behavior. It has to be hitting something in me, because if I told you you're 7 feet tall, you're not going to get anxious.
Okay,
Okay?
That's what I'm going to have to concentrate on.
Right. Look inside
If
yourself.
You told me that I needed to be 7 feet tall, and I'm not, I wouldn't feel bad.
That's right. But if she says, would you please put that there? And it's anger you probably couldn't afford if your mother told you that either.
Okay.
Okay, because you're a
I'm gonna
good
have
girl.
to do
You're a nice
some-
girl. You're a very organized girl. It's good enough.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Why I had to get with this one, I don't know.
Well, we'll see you next week, okay?
Okay, I have some serious thinking to do.
No. Okay. We have a little time left,
Okay.
so you get the idea, though, right?
I do get the idea, but the problem is, how am I going to remember it when I leave here?
You look up at the light.
Okay, I'm supposed to look up at the light, and
And who's the light?
the light is going to be that other part of me that's critical.
Yes, critical on you and makes you anxious, right?
Okay.
And she triggers that. She shoots that, it drops a bomb on you.
Okay.
It's like shooting a water balloon that comes down.
Okay, so when she starts saying things like that, I look and I say, stop.
You say to your,
Doing
the
that
other
to
self,
myself.
stop. Right. Okay, we'll see you next week, okay?
Okay, I have a lot to think about.
Yes, you do. And you do very well. Good for you, smart lady. Okay. I just want to say that this is Carol Dorley. This is who you really are. And the reason that you can play this with no rehearsal, no nothing, just presenting issues because you're a therapist, right?
Yes, I am.
Where are you a
In
therapist?
Somerville.
Carol Dorley, thank you so much for
You're very
doing one of
welcome.
your wonderful
It was
shows
fun.
again. It was a lot of fun. Okay. And I just want to thank you all for watching. I want to thank Carol Dorley for that wonderful show and for saying hello when I'm bopping around town. And just be real good to yourself and just keep looking through the looking glass. You can give me a call anytime, 908-722-2933, or look on the credits. And just be really good to yourself, okay? Take care. Be well. Ginny Klein.
Dr. Jenny Klein would love to hear from you. Email her, jennyklein@gmail.com, or give her a call at 908-722-2933. If you'd like to see more, feel free, just go to drjennyklein.com.